In order to enjoy true intimacy with another person, you need to be able to self-regulate. Self-regulate is the idea of self-soothing. It's being able to reflect. It's being able to step back, not react. It's the ability to think about your perspective of something as well as someone else's. And it's also a manner that you trust people. You have relationships and you trust them. Self-regulation is taught when you're a child. And the person who co-creates your self-regulation is your parents. A lot of kids don't get that growing up. So when they cry, their parents never go to soothe them. They just let them cry it out. Or if they're upset, their parents spank them and say things like, don't do that next time, and teaching their child that more and more, the more honest you are with your parents, the more threatening it can be. Parents are supposed to come to you when you're upset and soothe you. They're supposed to listen to you. They're supposed to validate you. They're supposed to be there to reassure you. Reassurance isn't a bad thing. We all ask for it. As a child, you need your parents to reassure you all the time. If your parents, on the other hand, are busy with other things, abandon you, make you feel neglected, make you feel as if you're upset, but you're not upset. They confuse you. You're angry, but it's terrible to be angry, so you stuff the anger. And what you end up with is a lot of toxic feelings. Now, the problem with toxic feelings is they don't go away. You don't grow out of them. They just continue to grow and they manifest in other ways. And usually the way they manifest is in our relationships. We end up having relationships with people and our partner will be telling their friend, I don't know what's going on with them. They just flip out. They just have these rage spells. They have temper tantrums. They can't control their anger. They have no idea what they feel. They can't express themselves to me. They seem moody, but they can't talk about it. They stuff things. We can never really discuss something. Those are the things that a partner with somebody who has been abandoned and who can't self-regulate actually end up feeling. And usually that partner who is with someone who doesn't know how to self-regulate will abandon the person. They'll leave the relationship. And once again, because that grown child doesn't have the reinforcement that, what was my part? What was your part? They react impulsively. They start saying, I hated them anyway. I didn't want anything to do with them. They may go on drunken binges. They do all sorts of self-destructive things. If you've been abandoned growing up and you never had a chance to be validated, you can actually achieve that, but it won't be easy. For some people who were treated with abandonment and neglect in childhood, they were really lucky. They had great mentors who they were able to get close to, people they actually began trusting. And for those individuals, they basically already did the work to co-create. They co-created with someone who wasn't in their family, maybe an older individual who was there to mother them, to validate them, to make them feel better. But if you weren't fortunate in that area and you're just now hearing this going, oh my gosh, I never got that. Like, I never restored my sense of abandonment. You can do it. But the first thing you need to do is you're going to need to work with a mental health caretaker, because they're going to help you co-create those triggers, those feelings of abandonment. In other words, you can't fix something you can't feel. You have to get in touch with those feelings that you had during the time of abandonment, or during the time of intense anger, or during the times of intense hurt. A therapist is going to help work through that with you. The second thing is you're going to have to go through it, and you're going to cognitively have to say, here's what I feel. this is why I'm reacting, and you're going to have to make amends with it. And there's a lot of crying in this stage. There's grieving. You're grieving things you never knew, that no one ever accepted. And here is this therapist accepting you and validating you and telling you, of course you felt this way. You should have always felt this way. You should have gotten this when you were a child. And lastly, you're going to have to forgive your parents or whoever were the people bringing you up so that you can move on. Because they might have been great parents in other areas, but they were not great at helping you learn to self-regulate and to self-soothe yourself. If you have developed bad habits such as alcohol, abusive eating, drugs, whatever it is, it's important that you get yourself into a program that's going to help you deal with that too. If you don't feel good about yourself as an adult person, then getting into a relationship is not the answer. The answer is going to be turning into you and identifying those helpers who are going to help you get to explore unexplored areas that may have been painful, but now you're in a safe place to open them up.